This is a $500 billion down payment on let's bring those semiconductors home. So the objective is to bring 40% of Taiwan's entire supply chain and production to domestically bring it into America. And here's the goal: during President Trump's term. This is fire right now. If they don't build in America, the tariff's likely to be 100%.
Oh, there's sort of the stick, not the carrot. In the room, the negotiations, which you literally just left.
They need to keep our president happy.
必须让我们的总统高兴。我听完这句话，我就 They need to keep our president happy。你总统 happy 干我鸟事啊？是赖清德让你总统 happy， 一点尊严都没有。卢特尼克要去拍他老板的马屁，他让他老板高兴，把账算到我们头上。我再讲一句，卢特尼克12座厂过去，我告诉你们，完蛋了啦！台湾就没有护国神山了啦！台湾人现在很惨呢，是为了一件事情，为了让川普高兴嘛！他妈的什么名堂啊
As part of this deal, have you gotten commitments from Taiwan Semiconductor, the company, that they will expand that already expanding facility that you and I sat down in 6 months ago?
Exactly. So they just bought hundreds of acres adjacent to their property. Now, I'm going to let them go through it with their board and give them time. But of the $250 billion of commitment that is directly from companies. So basically, there's two commitments from Taiwan. There's $250 billion that comes directly from companies. And then there's $250 billion supplied by the government to help their smaller and medium-sized companies all and bring that whole supply chain to America. So we're going to bring it all over so we become self-sufficient in the capacity of building semiconductors. This is exactly what Donald Trump said he was going to do, and he's doing it today. $250 billion and $250 billion. This is the kind of scale that Donald Trump operates in.
So it sounds like the number, I'm not a math whiz like you probably are, Mr. Secretary, but that's $500 billion. I know a lot of that obviously is going to go to this Arizona facility that Christina and I were talking about. You've been to, obviously we were together. Do you expect there'll be other investments in the United States made as part of that 250 plus 250?
So what we did is we gave Taiwan $100 billion credit because TSMC came in with that $100 billion in 2025 with the Trump administration. So that's 100 towards the 250. Now I expect TSMC to come in huge, bigger. You've seen reports that possibly doubling in size in America, right? So that's TSMC. But then we have the rest of the supply chain of semiconductors, everything. You have to remember, like, each chip has a translator in it, right? What connects the power to the chip? What connects the chip to what you see on your screen, right? All those bits and parts, they all need to come here. And so we're going to have hundreds of companies coming here. We're going to build giant semiconductor industrial parks in America, and we are going to bring semiconductors home to America. That's what this is. This is a $500 billion down payment on let's bring those semiconductors home.
So let's talk about what Taiwan gets. So we're getting this investment. We're getting a commitment from not only Taiwan Semi and their companies, but to your point, the Taiwanese government itself. So both are making agreements. It sounds like what they're getting is a reduction of that reciprocal tariff rate, 20% to 15%. In some cases, if it's an aircraft part, if it's certain generic drugs, that goes to zero. Is that the win that Taiwan will get and want to promote in their nation, and we get the investment in semiconductors, and to your point, Mr. Secretary, this expected build out, not just in Arizona, but across the country?
So it's a couple of fold. Exactly what you've said. They go from 20% to 15%. They get generic pharmaceuticals, airplane parts, things that, we're very accommodating for because we want those things to come in tariff-free. Unavailable natural resources, to the extent they grow something that we don't grow here, that won't come with a tariff. But then there's semiconductors. It goes like this. If they commit to build in America, they can bring in their semiconductors during the time that they're building in America without a tariff. That is special for them, right? They can build here. If we, at the Department of Commerce, if we approve their plan, they can then bring in semiconductors of 2.5 times that amount. So if they build 1 million, let's say, wafers, they can bring in 2.5 million wafers while they're building in America. So the objective is to bring 40% of Taiwan's entire supply chain and production to domestically bring it into America. And here's the goal: during President Trump's term. This is fire right now. This is it. We're going to break ground. We're going to be building here. These people have committed to try to build this full infrastructure and do it now in America. So that's what they get. If they don't build in America, the tariff's likely to be 100%.
If they don't build here, the tariff is likely to be 100%. So there's sort of the stick, not the carrot. In the room, the negotiations, which you literally just left, Mr. Secretary, is there any acknowledgement or discussion by Taiwan? I'm sure it's come up on our end, but on their end, because the country across the sea, we'll call them Chinese Taipei, of security issues that they recognize it's helpful for everybody to have a less concentrated semiconductor industry in their nation, given some of the aggressive tactics we have seen around China?
Exactly. Look, they need to keep our president happy, right? Because our president is the key to protecting their country. So they need to make him happy. So if you say, why would they do this? What? I mean, that is a gigantic commitment to onshoring in America. And the answer is because Donald Trump is vital to protecting them. And so they want to keep our president happy. Right? They want to keep the relationship between our two countries very positive, and this commitment to bring it onshore. We need semiconductors for our national security. We need them built in America. We can't rely on a country that's 9,000 miles away from us to deliver us these kind of fundamental national security products. Yeah. So we're bringing it here. This is what Donald Trump promised, and this is exactly what we're focused on delivering.
Mr. Secretary, it's Kelly here. I appreciate, if you don't mind, I jump in. I can't help but think while you announce this, what China must be thinking, not just with this Taiwan announcement, but also the 25% tariff on any country that's doing business with Iran, the way in which the Venezuela oil supply, perhaps that they had been counting on as repayment for loans, is now being rerouted. In other words, if they interpret this as a bold move against them, what would you say about that? Is that part of the intention, and what are we prepared for in response?
No, this move is really exactly what Donald Trump ran on and what he's delivering, which is we need to reshore semiconductors. This will bring hundreds of thousands of great jobs to America, and it's fundamental to our national security. You know, Donald Trump has a very strong personal relationship with President Xi, and he is the driver of the relationship between China and the United States. It's in Donald Trump's hands. Right. He knows how to play his hand the best of anybody in the world. So this is just fundamental to America.
Understood.
We need to make our own chips.
Should we still anticipate then, or as this is all taking place, that there's still a meeting between the two leaders, in which we understand the president doesn't want to turn the temperature up maybe too high before that meeting. Maybe that's a chance to turn the temperature back down.
Yeah, so my understanding so far is that the president's planning to go to China in the month of April. That's been discussed broadly. And I think that's still on, and we're very excited about the prospects of the two leaders meeting and talking. They have an excellent relationship. They talk on the phone. They make sure they understand each other and that the outcomes are the best. Obviously, Donald Trump is focused on the best outcomes for the United States. That's why he makes each chess move that he makes is well considered, and it's been very impressive. I mean, look at our economy. I think we're going to grow over 5% in the first quarter of 2026. I mean, Donald Trump is delivering for the American people. He's delivering growth. He's delivering jobs. We're delivering exactly what he promised. And that's what's so fun about being part of his administration.
You think we'll get 5% growth? I mean, you're a former bond trader. You ran a bond investment company. 5% growth, that's a pretty big number, Mr. Secretary.
So if you think about it, for all those years, everybody always said the world grows like just below 2%, and the U.S. grows just above 2%. And we were sort of in that, this sort of boring world. Well, Donald Trump said, America is the greatest economy on earth, $30 trillion economy. And if we stop exporting all the power and letting everybody else sell to us while we can't sell to them, then that exports our economy and picks up the rest of the world. We need to make America great. And what's he doing? He's cutting imports, expanding exports, and my prediction, over 5% in the first quarter of 2026 for the greatest economy in the world, having the greatest growth in the world. And you only get that by putting Donald Trump in the Oval Office.
Mr. Secretary, one problem on the market's mind that we're hearing about lately is the fact that it might be too strong. In other words, I don't know if you've seen this, JP Morgan is now calling for no more rate cuts this year and think we should get a rate hike next year. And Larry Lindsey, who I'm sure you're familiar with, has actually said the same thing, that Fed policy is a little accommodative right now. So, look, I don't know if we're ready for a moment in which the Fed chair might have to stand up and tell the president and the public, hey, things are going so well that we might have to hike rates at a time that the president's obviously been pushing quite hard on them to do the opposite.
So this is what the president talks about. He talks about if inflation is below 3%, right? It's running 2.7%, and we're growing. Why do rates have to be high? Why is this that if we're winning, the Fed should make us losers? And if we're losing, then the Fed should be winner. You know what that is? That's the definition of mediocrity. Donald Trump is here to make America great, and America can be great. Housing requires lower interest rates. You want to make things affordable? Bring interest rates down. So I think the economy can grow at low inflation. Right? Our productivity is flying off the shelves. Americans are more productive now, more valuable than ever before.
They are.
And therefore, we're not seeing inflation, so we can have lower rates and we can have growth. I think we can have both. And with both, America will be the best, most amazing economy ever. We will include all Americans. It will be
We're quibbling over
age,
basis points here.
like Donald Trump says.
I think JP Morgan said 3.1 on core PCE. So I hear what you're saying. He says if it's below 3%, we can cut rates, and maybe they're saying 3.1% and we can't. We're close. We're close to that area where I think everyone agrees maybe 3% is still too high.
Well, everybody forgets about the fact that the Fed is running down their balance sheet. So they're tightening, right? Every month, the Fed doesn't buy bonds that they used to buy and sucks that money out of the economy. The Fed is by running off their balance sheet, is tightening. They've got plenty of room to cut rates. They've got the room to cut rates, and that's what Donald Trump talks about. Don't make it so when we're winning, the Fed thinks you got to be a loser. That's just not true. Donald Trump understands if there's not inflation, the greatest economy in the world, doesn't have to have the highest interest rates in the world. It's ridiculous that we're in the 4s and everyone else in the world is in the 2s.
Do you have a preference on who the next chair of the Federal Reserve will be, Mr. Secretary?
My favorite part of this job is in the hands of Donald Trump. He's got great choices in front of him. I'm sure he's going to make the right choice. He gets my advice, but he's going to make the call.
I want to ask you just quickly again about Iran, because China is such a huge... Listen, markets are up today, by the way. Small caps up 1.5%. The S&P's up again. New record highs for small and mid caps. The markets just keep ripping. I'd love to get your take on anything with the markets or bonds, but also just to be clear, are you worried that this deal at all or the potential tariff on Iran is going to disrupt those China trade talks?
No. See, here's how the world looks at it. When America is shining, when the light of America is shining, the world's stock markets rally, right? All the experts said, if you put all these tariffs on the rest of the world, their stock market's going to be in trouble. They're all up. All of them are up because they know when the shining light of America is bright and powerful, the world wins. Donald Trump is making sure America wins, and we're lifting the rest of the world with us. Go look at the rest of the world's stock markets. We're hitting new highs, and so is the rest of the world. Donald Trump is driving the right outcomes for this world, and we're doing the things that he wants to do. He promised we'd reshore semiconductors. We have to reshore semiconductors. This is fundamental to where America goes, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Last question. 10-year yield, 4.15. Again, going back to your bond. Listen, Mr. Secretary, we interviewed a ton when you were the bond guy. Now you're the Commerce Secretary. Put on your bond hat. Where should a mortgage be right now if you were in charge?
So mortgages, think about it. Mortgages just dropped below 6%, right? And the housing market had the best refi week in decades, and it had the most people visiting houses in decades when interest rates of mortgages dropped below 6%. Donald Trump said, let's go buy mortgages, drop the rate below 6%, and you immediately got demand. I think rates in the United States of America are coming down. They should be lower. It'll make housing more affordable. Bring rates down and watch America thrive and grow. We're at 5% now, and if you don't think we can be bigger, you're not listening to Donald Trump. We can.
好，大家看到了哈，美国不能因为一个距离他们国家9000英里的地方的台湾来提供他国家的安全，所以他要把台湾的半导体的工厂移到他们国去生产，这样美国比较安全。那美国比较安全的时候，台湾会比较安全吗？台湾不会安全嘛，因为我们全世界要保护台湾，主要原因是什么？因为台湾生产半导体，当中共要侵犯我们，中共要攻击台湾之后，会影响到全世界的经济。你现在把我们对可以影响全世界经济的护国神山搬到了美国去了，他的理由很简单。我的国家要国安，所以你那个9000公里以外它意思很简单嘛，你台湾被中共打的时候我的东西没有办法运过去给他嘛。我们台湾的半导体9000英里之外，我不能够运送到美国去。当台湾被攻击的时候，台湾的半导体没有办法运送给美国，美国就有国安的问题。这他的问题啊。问题是他刚刚讲一句话那他的总统要来保护我们国家安全的关键人物，那表示他不会来保护啊。如果你要保护台湾的关键的话，你放台湾跟放美国什么不一样呢？你就来保护台湾就好了。你把你移到你家去，你保护我个屁，你搞骗笑 因为我白痴啊，我他妈的我是 IQ 零蛋啊，台湾人是笨蛋是不是？因为你郑丽君，因为你赖清德要去抱你大腿嘛，讲白一点嘛，12座厂过去，我告诉你们完蛋了啦，台湾就没有护国神山了啦。就这么简单一件事情，少听他们胡说八道。我很简单啊，12个厂如果盖在台湾的话，台湾的就业率是不是提高？12个厂移过去以后，台湾的失业率提高了，台湾没有投资了嘛？那台湾人本身现在没有工作一大堆，找不到工作一大堆，小孩子年轻人毕业不知道怎么办。现在南部的传统产业倒一堆啊，台湾人现在很惨你把12个厂放在台湾生产可不可以呢？放在台湾制造不是一样吗？因为其实商机嘛，商机放到美国去，然后大家给你靠这里，是为了一件事情，为了让川普高兴嘛。他妈的什么名堂啊！川普爽，川普高兴，到川普跟他老婆吵架不爽，要找台湾麻烦了，干我个屁事啊！好，我现在在讲另外一个更不要脸的事情给你听。在他们这个访问啊进行到一半的时候啊，主持人啊叫 Kelly 插话一下，他说啊，你们宣布这件事情的时候啊，我忍不住想，中国会怎么想？不止台湾这项宣布还包括对任何跟伊朗做生意的国家课25%关税，还有委内瑞拉石油供应可能会被改道，因为原来给中国，现在不给中国了啊，等于中国原本可以拿来作为贷款回收的供应，现在也被你们重新导向了嘛。换言之讲，他一直在吃中国嘛。他把这个40%拿走，这个把台湾这个也等于间接来讲的话，也是封锁中国，因为他拿到台湾的高科技的半导体的目的何在？就是目的是封锁中国的科技成长嘛，他就封锁中国，那我们就夹在这中间，就跟他选边站，就跟搞抗中保台嘛。他讲一句话嘛，他换言之讲，中国把这个解读成对他的强势动作，你会怎么说？你一直搞那么多事情在搞中国啊，现在是中美在抗争了，中美在斗争啊。你现在又在弄台湾这个事情弄下去，中国会怎么说？中国会很高兴被你这样搞吗？因为间接的就是搞死中国嘛，结果把搞得我们现在在中间过程中被人家 A 嘛，你会怎么说？这个是否也是意图一部分？而我们准备好怎么回应？记者问得很好啊，你搞那么多事情，把中国吃成一直去欺压中国，中国会怎么反应呢？他妈回答，他说不是的，他这个动作就是 Donald Trump 竞选的承诺，他刚才鬼扯软蛋，扯竞选承诺，这个会为美国带来数十万个优质工作，而且关乎国家安全。不要脸的人讲什么不要话，他说 Donald Trump 川普跟习近平主席有很强的私人关系，他是中美关系的推动者，这一切都掌握在 Trump 手上，他懂得怎么打牌。比世界上任何人都更会。那讲简单一点嘛，他们这一招他不回答问题嘛，因为4月份或5月份不知道。他把台湾这个牌弄完了，又多一个恐吓中国的工具，他跑去搞中国人嘛，就是简单就这个道理了。